I've had enough. If you want to leave, then leave right now. But if you rise to your feet one more time, I'll personally have you escorted out. Decide what you're doing and then either stay quiet or get out. Stop. Take this in for a second. Because what you're about to watch has never happened in over 3 centuries of Britain's parliamentary history. A sitting Prime Minister physically thrown out of the House of Commons by security. Not resigning, not walking out in protest, dragged away in humiliation after a public meltdown, broadcast live to millions. And this one clip is about to ignite a political firestorm that could collapse a government. If you want to see how a single explosive moment from Keir Starmer, his 90-second breakdown on live TV, is reshaping British politics overnight, hit that subscribe button. Because what happens next is something no one saw coming. Thursday, 2:30 p.m. House of Commons. The chamber is full, buzzing with energy. Prime Minister Keir Starmer sits at the government benches, calm and prepared for the weekly routine of Prime Minister's questions. Cameras are rolling, journalists are waiting, and the whole nation is tuned in. Then, Nigel Farage rises to speak. No theatrics, no drama, just brutal, plain facts. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister pledged to stop the boats. Instead, 45,000 illegal crossings this year alone. Deportation flights cancelled. Hotels drain £8.2 billion from taxpayers while British families struggle to afford a roof over their heads. And now, leaked papers reveal secret talks to rejoin EU migration schemes. Each word lands like a sledgehammer. Starmer's face tightens. His hands grip the dispatch box. Farage keeps going. The people voted for border control. What they got instead was betrayal dressed up as compassion. Will the Prime Minister finally admit his immigration policies are a catastrophic failure? A sharp line of attack, but nothing unusual. This is politics as usual. Starmer could parry with statistics, reframe the argument, or simply move on. Instead, he snaps. Starmer bursts from his seat, cutting through procedure, ignoring the Speaker. His voice booms with anger. How dare you? How dare you lecture this government on compassion when you've built your career on spreading division and hatred? The chamber freezes. You can feel the air drain out of the room. This isn't debate anymore, this is fury, unleashed in front of millions. Starmer keeps shouting, finger jabbing across the benches. You have no right to talk about British values. You've spent your life tearing this country apart. You're a disgrace to this House. Veteran MPs stare in disbelief. Conservatives gape. Even Labour MPs shrink back, horrified at their own leader's loss of control. The Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, calls for order. The Prime Minister will resume his seat immediately. But Starmer doesn't listen. He steps forward, voice cracking, spit flying, eyes wild. I will not be lectured by a man who profits from hate. And at that moment, the unthinkable happens. Hoyle invokes Standing Order 43, an obscure parliamentary rule most MPs have barely even heard of. It gives the Speaker ultimate authority to eject any member from the chamber, yes, even the Prime Minister himself. Under Standing Order 43, I direct the Prime Minister to withdraw immediately. Silence. Utter silence. You can hear cameras snapping. Starmer trembles. Disheveled, red-faced, he stammers. You cannot be serious. I am deadly serious, Hoyle replies. Security, escort the Prime Minister from the chamber. And just like that, the most powerful man in Britain is no longer in control. 2 guards step forward. Starmer doesn't move. He scans the room, desperate for support. No one rises. No one intervenes. This is outrageous, he mutters, but the fire is gone. His shoulders sag. Slowly, he's guided toward the exit. Each step chips away at his authority. Then, Farage strikes again. Calm, composed, his voice cuts through the stunned chamber. This is what happens when leaders can't defend their failures. They lash out. They break down. But Britain deserves leadership, not tantrums. The contrast is devastating. One man unraveling, the other steady and composed. Within minutes, the footage rockets around the globe. Hashtag PM thrown out trends worldwide. Major news outlets interrupt programming. The clip racks up millions of views in hours. The fallout is immediate. Overnight polling shows Starmer's approval plummet by 20 points. Working class voters, Labour's traditional backbone, are furious. He's supposed to lead us, says one caller to a Liverpool radio station. If he can't control himself in Parliament, how can he run the country? I've voted Labour my whole life, but I'm done. Focus groups repeat the same damning words: unstable, unhinged, embarrassing. Even Labour loyalists admit they're shaken. Meanwhile, Reform UK is swamped with new members. Their servers crash from donations and sign-ups. Farage holds a press conference on the steps of Parliament. He doesn't gloat. He simply says, "What we saw wasn't passion. It was a complete collapse of authority and self-control." At a time when Britain faces real crises, the Prime Minister chose rage over reason. The clip spreads like wildfire. Within 48 hours, it hits 60 million views. The international response? Brutal. Macron's office questions Britain's political stability. Germany warns of shaky partnerships. Even Australia's Prime Minister hesitates when asked if he trusts Britain's leadership. That hesitation says everything. Inside Labour HQ, panic sets in. Emergency calls, frantic group chats, whispers of rebellion. Deputy PM Angela Rayner fumes privately, accusing Starmer of humiliating the party and tarnishing Britain's reputation. Experts begin debating a constitutional nightmare: can a Prime Minister actually be removed from Parliament and still govern? Professor Vernon Bogdaner warns, this may have expanded Parliament's authority over the executive in ways we've never seen. And the silence from Number 10 only makes things worse. For 3 whole days, Starmer says nothing. No press conferences. No statements. No leadership. Just silence. And in that void, Reform UK dominates the narrative, flooding social media with sharp, brutal comparisons between Farage's calmness and Starmer's meltdown. By the end of the week, Labour collapsed to 26% in polls, their lowest since the 2019 disaster. Reform rockets to 25%, nearly neck and neck with Labour. Conservatives hold at 32%. And when asked, who would make the best Prime Minister? Farage suddenly sits ahead of Starmer, second only to Rishi Sunak. Across the north of England, Labour's so-called Red Wall, Reform surges into first place in multiple constituencies. Britain's political map is redrawing itself in real time. Even Labour-friendly newspapers can't defend it. The Guardian calls it a moment of madness that threatens Labour's very foundation. Memes flood social media. Comedians rip it apart nightly. Thrown out of Parliament becomes a cultural punchline. But beneath the laughter, trust in politics itself sinks lower than ever. Just 21% of Britons now say they trust the political system. Farage seizes the moment. On tour, he shows the meltdown clip at rallies, then asks, "Is this the leadership you voted for? Is this stability?" The crowd answers in unison, no. Labour's spin machine tries to paint the explosion as passionate defense of principles. But focus groups don't buy it. Ministers defending Starmer look visibly uncomfortable. Behind the scenes, MPs submit letters of no confidence. One calls Starmer's actions a disgrace to the party and a humiliation to the nation. And as the chaos spirals, legal experts discover something shocking: Standing Order 43 has never been tested in the Supreme Court. Did the Speaker even have the constitutional right to eject a Prime Minister? Or did this cross into uncharted and potentially unlawful territory? Within days, the case lands before Britain's highest court. For the first time, judges must decide: does Parliament hold ultimate power over the executive, or did Starmer's removal breach constitutional boundaries? Either ruling could rewrite British democracy. Meanwhile, the political earthquake keeps shaking. Reform overtakes Labour in the polls. Farage, a man who's never held office, is suddenly discussed as a possible Prime Minister. International investors grow nervous. The pound fluctuates. Labour ministers resign one after another. Local councils defect to reform. Party membership collapses. And through it all, Starmer stays largely silent, his authority crumbling by the day. When he finally does speak, it's too late. His approval ratings are wrecked beyond repair. His leadership is fatally damaged. This wasn't just an angry outburst. It was a turning point. A single loss of temper that shook the foundations of British politics, triggered a constitutional crisis, and gave rise to a new political force. The old order is collapsing. Something new is replacing it. The only question is, what comes next? Will Starmer somehow survive this unprecedented disaster? Can Labour recover at all? Or is this Nigel Farage's long-awaited breakthrough moment? And what will the Supreme Court decide about the balance of power in Britain's democracy? Whatever the answer, history is already being written. And it all started with one Prime Minister losing control in the most public way possible. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth political commentary, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of power and politics. Thanks for watching.